Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the Penny Bloom podcast. Today, we continue our comic book movie journey through film with Ant-Man. Ant-Man was released on July 17th, 2015. It was written by Edgar Wright and Joe Cornish, with a screenplay by those two, along with Adam McKay and Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd himself on this one. And then it is directed by Peyton Reed. I'm Colton Robertson, and I'm joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you, especially today. I've been looking forward to this one. We're rounding out the phase two of the MCU. We're rounding out our latest phase of covering the comic book movie journey through film. This will be our last little installment of it for a little bit. And we got Bad Batch coming up and finishing up Winter is Blooming, our Game of Thrones rewatch, and we'll see thereafter. But Ant-Man, baby, I love Ant-Man. This is a top 3 MCU movie for me, pretty comfortably. How are you feeling about it?
Criminally underrated. This movie, I think it's one that just kind of even for me personally, it flies under the radar. Whenever I just think of my favorite Marvel movies, and I don't know, maybe Quantumania just kind of put the nail in the coffin for me, not really thinking of Ant-Man movies as ones of my favorite ones, but this one's just, it's gold. It's like the whole movie is so good. It's so unique. It's not like any of the others. It has some of the Marvel flair to it, that's for sure. But I don't know, it does a lot of different things that makes it unique. Like Luis's little breakdown scenes where he's doing the oh my god, dude, I love those scenes so much. It's actually a potential for my favorite.
Oh, Michael Pena,
I'm not even playing.
He is so fucking good in pretty much everything he's in, and he's got incredible comedic chops. So seeing him kind of bring it to Ant-Man, I love
everyone. It. I mean, not everyone is purely comedic, but Paul Rudd. We got a KC native up in here, which is cool.
Oh, yeah.
Was he born here? I don't know. He's known for being from here. I don't know if he was necessarily born.
I guess I don't know if he was born here, but he was bred here. But born and bred. KC.
Yeah. So it is just really cool, seeing him as right now, I guess he's infiltrating Avengers, headquarters, but eventually will join the squad. And just to think that, I don't know, I guess we do know where he's from. He is from upstate New York somewhere.
In the movie,
around Spider-Man, and I guess all of them. So okay, I was gonna say, maybe we don't know where he's from.
Is that where this movie takes place? Is this movie New York?
I think so, because, at least the Avengers headquarters, it's upstate New York. I think they just say upstate. I don't think it's anywhere specific.
That's true.
But they do mention other heroes that are in the works. Like, whenever I think Sam is talking to someone.
We got somebody who swings. We got somebody who crawls. We got, they mentioned Spider-Man without mentioning Spider-Man.
I think they're up in, I don't know, because they're not in the city, but...
Well, he gets out of... Hold on.
Wait a minute. This is San Francisco.
I was going to say, it's San Francisco, isn't it? It's California. He gets out of San Quentin at the beginning of the movie, and he doesn't go very far. And San Quentin, I'm pretty sure, is a Californian prison.
Yeah, this is very hilly. This is not New York whatsoever. I don't know what I'm thinking. Wait, maybe it's just the Spider-Man connection.
They don't really... And they go to the Avengers facility, but they don't really specify that that's a cross-country trip that they have to take during this movie.
Okay, yeah.
Which I think is just a matter of convenience. You never even really realize it. They just go, we're getting into this facility. It's in upstate New York, and that's it. I'm pretty sure the bulk of the movie's in California. So that is pretty funny.
Sure. For sure. Definitely. Yeah, I think if they don't actually call it San Francisco, I don't know. I think they do, right? Because they call Queens. They call everything else kind of the same. I think it's everything's the same there.
Yeah, it's San Francisco.
Now
I'm remember Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi's in San Francisco.
Yep.
And Ant-Man and the Wasp, I feel like I remember some of those hills as well, that lead down to the fucking docks and the shore over there, you know, so maybe we're onto something. Regardless, I fucking love this movie, man. I think that it benefits a lot from the involvement of Edgar Wright, who is an incredible director and incredible writer. He's got a keen sense for just storytelling in general, and he actually got kind of booted from the director's chair of this movie because Kevin Feige wasn't on board with his auteur vision for Ant-Man. He wanted something He wanted something a bit more commercial. He wanted something a bit more normal, which is just a really, really good example of what Marvel does. They're like, oh, we have a really talented filmmaker in Edgar Wright who's done so many great things, who's, you know, a lot of great comedies and a lot of just a bunch of good stuff. He went on to do even better stuff hereafter, like Baby Driver, which is an eternally cursed movie because of the cast, but it was good.
Wow.
And you know,
just
last night
a normal movie, just a normal.
They wanted something a little more, and even so, they still managed to make probably the most unique MCU movie. The only one that I think even kind of compares to it is Iron Man 3. Another one of the most unique MCU movies in terms of vision, in terms of execution. And obviously Guardians of the Galaxy, it's kind of, there's a little bit of a different thing there, but, you know, even for the MCU, you could argue that Thor and Thor the Dark World kind of set the stage for what they were able to do with Guardians of the Galaxy, you know? Regardless.
This one feels more adult as well. There's some.
It feels more like a movie.
Yeah, I think it still shines through a little bit of what like they were trying to accomplish of making a normal movie. It shines through at some points, because like there's some things that are not MCU. Like whenever, I don't know what they're trying to break into. Is it now cross industries? So it's no longer
cross technologies.
Cross technologies. So they're breaking in to cross technologies, but they need to expand the gang. So the trio joins. And
the heist film, man.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Dope.
I have kind of a lot of little mini films throughout, which is really, really cool.
Son of a bitch. I'm in, you know, that sort of vibe. I absolutely like Paul Rudd is, I remember, you know, when the pandemic really hit and it was 2020, the lockdown happened. A thing that me and my family did up to that point was we watched every MCU movie that we could, or that there was. And it was kind of fun showing them these movies and kind of being like, I remember when we got to this one, my dad was like, Paul Rudd's a fucking superhero? You know, he's like, what? Because, I mean, I grew up on Paul Rudd because my dad loved Anchorman. So, you know, 60% of the time it works every time. The Brian Fantana of it all, like he's just such an everyman, you know, and they do a really good job of playing that up. And I love the characterization of Scott Lang, and I like Paul Rudd playing him. He obviously doesn't get to do, ironically enough, while this is definitely his best movie, he does a lot more performance-wise in every succeeding Ant-Man movie.
That's true.
And including Endgame also. Like all those, like he gets to do a little more, you know, and he does a great job here. He centers the whole thing, obviously, but it's fascinating to watch him probably come in like fourth if you're picking a performance.
You know,
I went.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess his moments where he could have gotten emotional were more action moments. Like he had to go into the quantum realm to save his daughter, and like you can't really have a moment where he sits down and like But yeah, no, I think you're definitely right. When I was thinking of performances, it wasn't him that was jumping to the front. He didn't do bad.
No, not by any stretch of the imagination. There's just a lot more that other characters get to do, you know. I think that, I mean, shit, each of the next three, Michael Douglas as Hank Pym Evangeline Lilly as Janet or Hope.
Hope. Yeah, Hope
And
Van
Corey
Dyke.
Stoll as Darren Cross. They all, I mean, shit, even Bobby Cannavale as the stepdad. He's fucking great in this movie. I love Bobby Cannavale also, though. So, like, that's just a little bit of a personal bias thing.
Yeah, I mean, he plays at first you kind of hate him, you know. You're like, okay, dude, you're going a little hard on this dude.
Oh no,
you know,
and
like you obviously, even Cassie is you know against him. Like
she gives my favorite line of the movie, whenever they're talking, and she's like, "Are you looking for my daddy?" And he goes, "Yeah, you know, I am." Then she goes, "I hope you don't catch him." I fucking love it. I fucking love it.
She's
Mostly
awesome.
because my runner-up in character is Cassie Lang. Full stop.
It's what everything is for, dude.
It is.
Like,
and she, like, more so than any other MCU movie, I don't think there's another child who stands out as, besides, again, Iron Man 3. The other one that I would point to as a good comparison for this movie, they bring a child to the forefront and kind of let them, I don't know, be kids a little bit, you know, like they feel goofy, they feel fun, you know, they feel innocent, and there's something really, really unique about that. They're great foils for, you know, for Bobby Cannavale and for the police, but a great compliment to Scott Lang, to Paul Rudd, you know, and I think that's. So, like, she didn't get my character. I was close to it, but Cassie was my runner-up in terms of character, because I just fucking loved her in this movie, man.
And her birthday party, him showing up, giving her the little ugly doll, so you know. And, the dad, you know, at first being like, dude, like, what
and
did you get her?
It.
But she's like, oh my, yeah, you know.
I just love the way they hammer that home, that, like, nobody gets. Man,
this could have been such a good normal movie. Wow.
Right. That's the thing, is that, like, when it comes to, like, my dad, I'm fairly certain this is his favorite Marvel movie, because it's the lowest level of entry. There's, like, nothing you have to get prior to this. There's nothing, like, you know, they make mention. No.
The Falcon. And that's, like, the only thing in Avengers headquarters, but you don't even see a single Avenger. It's just Sam up there, and that's it. You know,
well,
it's like,
the thing is too, is that, like, it's obviously superhero stuff, but the action adventure stuff is so unique and incomparable to everything, like, even to succeeding Ant-Man movies.
Where
the
did
sense
this stuff
of scale
go? Yeah,
went away with Edgar Wright.
Where did it go, man? It was so cool. Like just seeing him run through the tunnels with the ants, or like in the bathtub, or just every time he went small.
The sense of scale.
The camera went small. Yeah, the camera went small too. And now I think it's only done whenever he's doing something so important. The camera needs to show what he's doing whenever he's small. But if not, I don't know. I'm not sure. But I feel like the camera goes and goes small with him. But maybe it just doesn't. I don't know what the difference
something about the vision here that gets lost eventually, you know, like the sense of scale and the sense of weight when he is small, I feel like doesn't translate. I mean, obviously in Civil War is the first time he goes big, which is the next movie in the MCU. And thereafter, they do a lot more with him being big than they do with him being small. And frankly, the only movie it works in is for, like, the final few scenes in Ant-Man and the Wasp. Quantumania, the sense of scale there is horrendous.
It's like, so bad, dude.
When he's giant, you cannot tell he's giant, you know, like, it's so that's the sort of thing that I love about this movie. Is my favorite shots of the movie, every contender, is the sense of scale versus other everyday normal shit. You know, what I ended up landing on was him hanging off the edge of the vinyl record while it's spinning. Like, I love the way everything.
Oh my god, dude! That was awesome? Yeah,
that was so fucking cool.
So creative. And I think maybe that's it. It's not necessarily that the camera gets smaller with him. It's the scenarios that he is in that are just. It's so creative. They're so like it's just cool. You're like, oh my god, that's what it would be like if you're a little dude experiencing the world, you know.
I mean, the final fucking battle takes place on a goddamn train playset. That's so fucking cool. Like, that is a great idea.
In the constant like back and forth of him being super scared underground when like ants are coming to pile on him, and then he like busts out of the ground. He's like, that was a lot scarier a couple seconds ago, you know. And then like their whole fight, it's like the same thing. It's on a Thomas, you know. Whenever like what's his name, fucking
Darren Cross.
Yeah, I only know Cross, but Darren
MODOK.
Eventually MODOK, but I guess MODOK at the end of this movie by now. But Darren, good old Darren, was just hit by the train, and then it zooms out, and then just you see just a little like them just fall off the tracks, and it's barely anything. And I don't know, that I think that's what it is. It's the creativeness of it, because you're right. My shots are both whenever it does go small, and it's the first time he puts the suit on in the bathroom and he goes into the shower, and it's like it kind of, the camera like follows him dropping down, and then like kind of rotates around him, and then like it shows like the drain. It says like 1.5 inches, and even that looks massive compared next to him. And it's like, I thought that was just really cool, like a creative first like suit up shot. And then the other was, I think, the one I will go with, because this one was just so badass and probably took a lot of time for these VFX workers. But it's whenever he is in the kind of server room at Cross Technologies, and they have to fry it up, and then they're all frying it, and then he jumps on Anthony and just flies through all the electricity, and like there's kind of, it's a VFX shot for sure, but it's a oneer, kind of just all the way through like this like very tight path. And I thought it was just awesome. The amount of detail that was thrown in there, like they didn't need to do that. He could have flown over the top of all of them and then, into the door or whatever. But whenever it could be fun, it was fun. Whenever he went into the water pipe, it was like a raft built out of ants that he was riding on, the whole time. It was like, it was just fun the whole time. And
that's the thing, is I said this could be the most normal movie, but it is also the movie that is the least afraid of its comic booky aspects, aside from Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, it's just that this character and this idea lends itself so strongly to, I mean, like, it literally came at the perfect time. This movie could not have been made this well ever before. I mean, Ant-Man requires this level of VFX. It like, you can do other stuff with scale in a practical sense, and it can look cool, but it can't be as expansive as some of the stuff they did here. So like, I just love that they did it when they did it, and they did it so effectively. I think that it's just outstanding that now 10 years later, Paul Rudd is still kicking it in the MCU. He's still out here, and I think that's fucking kick ass. Like, it's
maybe that is why this is such a golden age or golden era of comic book movies, is because we haven't quite entered the era of where it's effortless to just do in post and do on a computer and just have everything kind of done on a computer. They had to still do a lot of things in camera and then enhance the VFX shots through post and stuff like that. And then slowly we're seeing the transition of
I think this is it.
This is
the end. This is the end of Phase 2.
Yeah.
Phase 3 is when that happens.
Phase 3 movie.
Civil War.
Is it? Okay.
Which is fine. It's fun. But when it comes to the stereotypical Russo bros, we're going to shoot this on a giant lot that doesn't have a lot going on, and it's just it's a boring ass setting. We're at an empty airport.
Oh yeah, dude. Oh, I see the difference now. Yeah, it's pretty clear. He suits up for the first time here. He falls through the bathtub and then through an air vent. He's then in a party and trying to be stomped on, and then he falls through another air vent, and he's like, it's kind of total chaos, but it's all just crazy. I don't know, creative Things that you never think of about, like if you were a small man running, I don't know, just running through the world.
And it's something that, I think that in Phase 3, there's a few examples that are obviously standouts in terms of the environment and kind of creating something that is visually appealing while also being well done. I think that when it comes to Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, the settings there are fucking brilliant. Like, those are gorgeous, gorgeous places to be at pretty much every turn of the movie. Black Panther has a lot of great settings. It has a lot of great places we go. But the VFX in Black Panther are not as good as the VFX in Ant-Man. And
even
so,
the de-aging here was pretty impressive.
The de-aging is fucking phenomenal.
It's like, I was like, whoa.
That's something the MCU, I don't think, is ever missed on. The way that they do de-aging is fucking brilliant.
Like it was really good at the beginning, and yeah, VFX here are pretty. Like, I don't think there was really any shots where I'm like, oh, okay, that was a little or a little, it took me out. But in Black Panther, like even in Black Panther, one that comes to mind is just their fight down in the like train system and the mines, down there. It's like, you can tell, you're like, ooh, okay, that is a 3D model.
We've got a similar 1v1 with the antithesis character. Just we have the same abilities, but it's flipped on your head. It's flipped on its head, and we're facing off here. Like, this is 10 times better.
It's
and 10 times more well done than the Black Panther one. I would argue that the Black Panther, the fight is like the meaning,
more meaningful,
and the fight is a little bit more there.
Yeah,
but regardless, and this is something that the MCU has been doing for years. The Incredible Hulk, Iron Man, the exact same. Red Skull versus Cap, similar thing. The Super Soldier Serum thing. Like, it's what they do for the first introductory movie. Typically, is here's the exact opposite of you as the villain. And I would argue this is the best example of it. Like, there's
a lot of things very clicked this watch for me, like things that I didn't realize before. That apparently. The particles mess with your mind a little bit, if you use them, and it seems the most that I took out of that was that it just makes you more who you are, or it like brings out your inner. I don't know. I was trying to figure out what they meant by that, because Hank seemingly used them all the time. But and was he worried that he was going down the Darren road, and that's why he stopped, and he's like, okay, whoa, like these particles, they're messing with my mind. I'm a soldier now. Like, what am I doing? Like, I'm killing for the government, basically.
I think that's a part of it. If you recall, there's a What If episode where after Hope's death, he loses his fucking mind because he doesn't take the fucking suit off. He just keeps, and he murders the Avengers.
Oh my God, that's right. Oh my God, he was the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
so like
man,
that, it's not like it just makes you more you, like the Super Soldier Serum.
So it does actually just
it makes you go nuts. It makes you go psycho. And
so why has that never been? I guess because has he just been?
He specifies that there's something they do with the helmet and the Ant-Man suit that Darren does not know about and can't know about, because the only way to ever have figured it out is by having worn it in trial and error sort of thing. So like, he's just building the suits with this serum.
Okay.
He's not factoring that in. And so Scott's got
it's
some
already
sort of
fixed by now. Okay, yes. So Hank has already resolved the problem.
He's already figured out a way to fix that.
Okay, I must have missed that little detail.
It was very blink and you miss it, but I thought it was pretty important for the sake of just the logic of the movie, which is pretty sound. It's actually pretty incredible how well maintained. Usually there are things that we've talked about that you can kind of poke holes in through it, like most Marvel movies, and there's probably some here, but there's not many that come to mind, if any.
I don't know. Pretty. Yeah, I mean, when you deal with shrinking shit and all that, whatever. But as far as like just people's what's the word? Why they are wanting to do the things they do. Their motives, yes. As far as like the motives and motivations for every character, it all makes sense. Darren is just like a younger version of Hank, and Hank, I don't like, saw something in him, was bright and whatever, and now Darren's going down the path he is, but he's the one who kind of like makes it very clear. Well, I guess, I don't know, it's figured out before, but he's like, well, it's obviously you're trying to protect your daughter and make up for what? Oh my God, what was the trope there between there? Because he wanted Scott to be in the suit so that it wasn't Hope, to just protect her from danger, but
that's how he lost Janet.
There was some other there was some other kind of connection between Darren and Hank. I felt, and it felt like Hope was involved too. I don't know what. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that is all it was. I don't know. I'm not
like the mentor thing. Sure. Is that like just him?
Yeah, maybe some of that was there. I don't know. Like the son he never had. Maybe. Oh, okay. I guess maybe Darren would have ideally been the person to take over the suit, and then he realized no, he's not. So then he started looking at Scott or looking into someone else to take the suit. Hope was just always out of the question just because of the danger, or whatever.
Yeah, because of what happened to Janet, for sure.
Maybe that was it. That he might have been the actual, the torch would have been passed to Darren instead of Scott. So it is truly just like the antithesis to Scott. Darren is, because Scott's he has an electrical engineering degree. I kind of caught that this watch. I'm like, oh shit, and like the way he breaks into the safe, gets the fingerprint, with the glue and the tape and like all that, and like freezes the shit. I'm like, yeah, he's like, I never gave him that credit at all.
Well, it's because they never touch on it again. That's something that really falls through the cracks in the movies to come, is that they treat him like a little bit of a dumbass. And, he is a little bit of a dumbass, but it's an everyman sort of dumbass. It's not like he's straight up dumb. It's just that there are things he doesn't know, like anybody else, but, whenever he presents his idea for time travel, an Endgame, and he's referencing, like there's only so many ways you can present that idea, but even then they kind of make him out to be a little bit stupid, yeah. No, and maybe that's just because Tony is smarter than everybody, so he's like, come on,
yeah, he's around different company, I guess there, but even still, it's not like he is dumb out of nowhere just because he's in the same room with Tony. I think it is just this movie. This movie really has just a different hold on the character and just on, I don't know, what to do with the character. Like it just, the creative moments that were there. Like, I went Paul Rudd as Scott for the character. I think, character wise, I didn't really think there were many to choose from because I think they did just a phenomenal job, like showing that he's not just going back into it because it is truly his motivation is Cassie, and like he's just trying to see her sooner, and like it is one more job, which don't do that, just get a normal job, whatever. But fucking Baskin Robbins, I think the true enemy of this movie is just corporations at large.
No, it's got a surprisingly left-leaning sensibility. With his, what he did to go to jail in the first place was rob a corporation or burgle a corporation that, stole money, was charging money to people they shouldn't have been and gave it back to everybody they stole from, Robin Hood type shit.
Come on.
Love that stuff. And
pretty
again,
sick.
Feel like that just kind of slips through the cracks here on in. Like they never really, like it's just a bunch of stuff that I feel like they lose sight of after this movie.
I think for this movie, it's there because they need, to show
To build
a reason to build a character, and then also give reason for Hank to want to choose him, to pass the mantle on and to take the suit and everything like that. And maybe that's why it's harped on so much in this movie, is because it's needed to further that for Hank, and to be like, no, like obviously this is the guy, sort of thing. And even though the clear choice is Hope, like it is, she puts on the little transmitter thing, I don't know what to call that, and just starts the sugar cube conveyor belt with ease, and then blocks out the light. Like, I mean, that was kind of nuts. Like, she was like kind of like going full dark side mode for a little bit there, which I thought was very interesting. But that's who I ended up going with for performance. And I don't know, maybe it is. This was one of my very early celebrity crushes, because of Lost, the TV show. She's on Lost. I think this Lost was like the first grown up show that I just ever watched. That was not like a cartoon, or just like any. I don't know. I think it's the first show that I watched with humans that were not on Disney Channel.
They were not children. Yeah.
Yeah. And so she was kind of just one of the early ones, but besides that, I mean, I think, like, as far as having to actually act and have just a lot of different a range of scenes to go through, to be the stone cold secretary, and then kind of play this double agent at the same time, and then almost made a scene performance, but what really nailed her performance nod in the first place is this. So that's why it's not one of my scenes, but it's whenever it's her and Hank talking, and it's him finally confessing that how his mom died, but we know that she's not dead, but how she disappeared.
Yeah,
right. But that scene was like, I was like, oh my God. Like, whenever it just cuts back to her and her eyes are already watered up, I was like, oh fuck. Like, I'm already like starting to lose it. And then like she starts to really cry, and I was just like, oh damn it. Like, I really,
and it's a
really
fascinating. That's a great scene, and it's why I'm considering, I'm between two for my performance. I'm between Michael Douglas as Hank Pym and Corey Stoll as Darren Cross. But that scene is mainly why I would consider going with Michael Douglas as well. The way he presents the information, and the way that the way he plays this begrudging, regretful shell of a man, basically. Like, he has so much he wants to say, as so much that he has inside of him that he's incapable of portraying to his daughter. And I think that I think he does a brilliant job with it, and they do great in their scenes together. I think that there's a moment whenever it's before he tells her, for sure, and he's like considering. It's after him and Paul Rudd talk about like him going subatomic, and if he goes subatomic, he could shrink forever and into eternity. And then he just kind of like leans back, and he just kind of thinks for a second about obviously why he would say this, and it's really good. He's really affecting. So I think I'll go with him because he gives a little more of a nuanced performance than Corey Stoll does. Corey Stoll does a really good job. It's just really a character who's already pretty fucking nuts descending into even more madness, which I think this movie doesn't really. That might be my one gripe about the movie, is that I wish it would have been a bit more forgiving of Darren at the beginning. I wish there could have been a little bit more of a goodness in him. He's already not a good dude at the beginning of this movie, and it makes him more and more terrible.
He hasn't used it on himself.
Exactly. He's still testing the stuff.
It's on the suit.
That's why I'm like, I think that, I mean, it's fine, but that might be the logic flaw in this movie, is that I think they even mention that he's kind of going down that road because of using it, but he hasn't used it. That's the point of the tests they're running.
Wait a Okay. So whenever you push the button on the suit, it's the suit that shrinks. Because every time they just try to just shrink someone by themselves, it doesn't work. They just die. It just you're splat.
They eventually figure it out. Yeah.
The sheep or the lamb, whatever, gets shrunk. It's the container that they shrink.
It is inside the container. Yeah, that's a good point.
So, but the sheep is still shrunk. Like, it's just shrinking everything around it as well. So maybe, I feel like that's the part that kind of went past me, is like, when is it ever entering your system? Like, it's not like it's going into his blood. Like, is it injecting into his vein? Is that part of the suit? It's actually going into his blood.
Maybe that's the purpose of the placement of the buttons.
Like, it's actually like
it's pricking him. Maybe headcanon sort of thing. They obviously never do anything to confirm that, but that is interesting. I hadn't considered the fact that it doesn't actually.
I guess, and maybe it might. I don't know.
How could it chemically affect someone without it entering his bloodstream?
And maybe it is just the mere fact of shrinking. Maybe it's not the particles itself. It's just the fact of shrinking and unshrinking. That's like
I'm pretty sure he expressly talks about how it's the particles that have an effect on the brain. So like that's my thing. Like maybe that is, we were looking for the logic flaw, and I think that might be it. I don't know when the particles would actually interact with.
Fuck it, they're toxic or some shit. It's just
maybe it's just being in the presence. Them. Maybe just be like, it clearly courses through the suit. Maybe it's just being engulfed and it's giving off like a radiation of some sort.
It doesn't need, they say that the particles make you go crazy, and so that's just how it works.
Anywho, I would have preferred that Darren seem a little more sympathetic at the beginning. Like, don't get me wrong. I like that he's the villain, and he's the fucking villain. And I think that's a good way to portray the evil tech CEO. I think that's great. I love that stuff. So like, I think it makes it easy for Scott to recognize that he's not going to like him. I think it makes it easy that, the thing that it doesn't make easy is why the fuck this is Hank's successor. Why is this the guy Hank thought could be the one? That part kind of loses me. Because from the get-go, he's a pretty shit guy.
Well, I guess there is also this beef between him and Hank, because Hank just left. He was like, peace. Like, I'm out, and I'm taking all my work with me. Good luck trying to replicate this particle. So maybe that's it.
Maybe that just soured him.
He was already, and he's like, well, what the fuck? I'm mentoring you. My whole life's devoted to you, and then you just leave, and we don't even finish, the work that we were doing.
That's fair.
And then now you're not helping at all. I guess maybe before that moment, maybe Darren was normal and more like Hank and everything.
Yeah, he must have been. It's just, it's fascinating to see come Quantumania when he has his sort of redemption of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
We've never seen him be good at all. We're not watching him return to normalcy. We're watching him turn to something we've actually never seen him be.
Yeah, he actually was just down to ride with Hydra. Was like, and maybe he's just too naive. I don't know, because he says, oh no, they're different now. Don't worry, I think, or something along those lines. So maybe he's just that dumb that they were like, oh no, we're just called Hydra, but we're not actually Hydra. Maybe they're just playing.
He wants the money.
They're just playing him, but no. So I think it's just if you can count Hydra as a corporation.
Kind of seems that they are these days, when he says like, we're in the business of toppling governments now.
This is true. Yeah, so if you can consider Hydra a corporation, that's like just the main villain of the movie. It's cross industry or cross technologies, Hydra, and Baskin Robbins.
And there's also, it's a fascinating
I don't know. It is the hidden Villain, dude. They fire Scott. What the fuck? You know, it's like, I guess if like Edward Snowden, if you hired him, you know, obviously you just got to fire the guy because then like you would just be raided. You know, the FBI would raid Baskin Robbins over and over. So like that makes sense. But like, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. It would attract more attention. I don't know. But
I suppose
like,
that he lied about being an ex-con so that he could get the job, which is why they fired him. Because I was thinking it's not legal for them to fire him because he's an ex-con. But if he lied about it, I think then it becomes legal.
But a little detail that I'm definitely going to headcanon from here on out. Luis, the reason he was put away was not stealing one smoothie machine, but 2 smoothie machines. And where from? I gotta think it's Baskin Robbins because why are they all like Baskin Robbins always finds out? They always find out, you know, that's like it's just I don't know. I think it's if there is any corporation because obviously I don't know if Baskin Robbins is paying Marvel for this or if this was you know so they're paying them. So even though the Baskin Robbins is paying Marvel for this, they're still seen as just a villain, you know. You are firing the main hero and at least in my headcanon, the reason Luis went away as well. All the boys kind of fucking hate Baskin Robbins, so they have some beef against it. So I gotta think that there's some history there.
It's
with Baskin Robbins.
I like the headcanon there. I like the idea that he stole Baskin Robbins smoothie machines. That makes sense. I think that
why make him steal smoothie machines? You know, like what? Like it could any crime at all, but he steals smoothie machines. I mean, it would have been more on the nose.
To Baskin Robbins,
would have been more on the nose if it was like an ice cream machine. If they specifically said ice cream machine, I would have it's over. But a smooth, it is a little different, you know. Baskin Robbins.
Yeah, no, and also like that part whenever the manager is like, grab a mango freeze on your way out. I'll act like I didn't see it. You know, it's like, go fuck yourself, man.
God damn it, dude.
It's incredible. I love it. And then Paul Rudd, Scott Lang actually gets like employee of a lifetime in Quantumania from Baskin Robbins. You know, he gets recognized. He gets a little ribbon cutting and stuff at a Baskin Robbins.
Yeah, oops, you fired an Avenger. That's his next job, I think, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, his next job is becoming an Avenger. So, sorry, I think he upgraded a little bit. From nothing wrong with Baskin Robbins, but I'd rather be an Avenger.
I would too,
if I could choose. And to have a suit in which, oh, dude. I mean, I'd rather have an Iron Man suit. But imagine the combination.
I don't know that I would.
You know?
I don't know that I would.
Really? You take an Ant-Man suit over an Iron Man suit?
I think I would take an Ant-Man suit. I think that, and obviously Iron Man, there are functions of the Iron Man suit in which would be very nice to integrate. Like, basically the only thing I would want the Iron Man suit for as opposed to this is flying.
Yeah.
I want to be able to fly. I appreciate that this doesn't have any weapons built in. I think that's hard. I think that's dope as fuck. There's no weapons on this motherfucker besides him. He is the weapon.
Didn't at first. They were just repulsor, stabilizers. And then he realized, oh, well, I could make these weapons. Would you also have the ant transmitter thing? So do you have the ability to have an ant army as well, or do you just have the ability to go small and big? And that's it. Like if you have the Ant-Man suit, do you also have the ant? Do you have Antony? Can you fly with Antony, or no?
That's a good question. Is there an ant transmitter built into the suit? Because if it's built into the suit, yes. I think that's part of it.
Like there was probably one built into the helmet. Why not? So. Hank was the only dude wearing that thing.
Yeah, exactly. Before. So, I like to think that that's the case.
Maybe it's not as easy as an answer then. I was very on the side of an
the reason I go Ant-Man is because I don't have much reason for all the amenities in the Iron Man suit. Here's the thing. It's hilarious, and I know why they don't do this. Paul Rudd's he's not a tall man. It's a little guy. If I was him, I'd be making myself at least 6 inches taller. I would absolutely be rocking it at 6
My
foot.
God, I didn't even think of this. But so you would.
You would just grow. You'd be
clicking
huge.
the corner. It's like clicking the corner on a picture to make it bigger. You're not just getting taller. You're just like you're growing bigger in every proportion.
Yeah.
Oh my God, okay. But you would be in the suit. You couldn't even take the helmet off. Could you take the helmet off?
I'm like, do we know the mechanics behind this now? Like,
when he gets big, he always has the helmet on, and when he gets small, he can't take the helmet off even when he gets small. No. Well, because in Quantum Mania, whenever there's like millions of him, he has the helmet off, but is he small? He's just in the quantum realm, you know?
That means he's so tiny that he's in the quantum realm, though.
Yeah.
But
he's not using the suit to get smaller or bigger, you know? It's just that's the size everyone is in the quantum realm. Everyone is just that size, you know? That's around him. So I think if you get bigger,
right?
Or smaller,
but they used the shrinking. They used shrinking tech to get there, though.
Yeah. Okay.
It's more about the physics of the quantum realm, whether or not they operate.
In this movie, he gets to the quantum realm, and he stops eventually. You know, eventually he doesn't go any smaller. He's just there. And he reaches that size. I think that's just the size.
Ant-Man and the Wasp actually answers our question. Remember when he's walking around and he's like 3 feet tall in the elementary school? He's not wearing a suit during that. So he could absolutely be 6'5" without the suit on if you wanted to.
So you just boom, take the suit off.
Yep.
And then you're just
tall. And the suit's that size.
But something in the helmet to keep you from going crazy. So you could be 6 foot tall, but you eventually go mad and you're crazy. That might be the other. That's why Hank or Darren. That's what he's been doing. He's actually 5'2" in reality, but he just puts the suit on. He gets up to his height, and then that's how he's actually using it. He is doing the strategy. Yeah, he is doing the strategy that everyone would do.
It's true.
Okay. True. If I had Anthony, I think I'd take the Ant-Man suit, actually. Well, it's just you can fly so much.
You can fly. It's a different kind of flying with an Iron Man.
Actual flight. I mean, that's actual flight, and I can zoom. I could go to Europe in an hour. So that's
maybe it's a bit blasphemous to say I'd go to the Ant-Man suit. Because while I said I wouldn't use any of the other amenities in the Iron Man suit, the amenity of flight
alone,
pretty fucking cool.
That's all I need, man, and just being indestructible. I could crash into a mountain and be fine. Like if I do fuck up and I'm gonna crash, I'm gonna be fine. Like the suit's just kind of indestructible. What the fuck did he actually make it out of? Like holy shit, I've never really thought about that. Dude is just, I think some alloy. I think they do mention it.
They do,
alloy.
But it's not indestructible. We've watched it get destroyed.
Yeah, but he
watched his homie get paralyzed while wearing the suit.
This is fair.
So it's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee you'll be okay.
Pretty indestructible.
You're pretty safe. You're pretty,
but
the risk reward here is varied. You know, like you're not in as much danger in the Ant-Man suit as long as you're avoiding getting stepped on.
Because if you don't have a Falcon visor that tells him where Scott is, how the fuck are you going to do anything against Scott? You know, I loved the theories of Endgame whenever it was out. It's like Ant-Man can just crawl up Thanos' ass and then blow him up from the inside. Yeah. Easy money, war over. You know, it's and the fact that that's just kind of the surefire strategy that would win without a doubt, I think is hilarious.
And I also think it's so funny that everyone was it could literally be any orifice. But everyone
was it the butt? It always
everyone's centered on the asshole. You know,
it's funnier. It's way funnier.
It's so much funnier to think about it that way. That's why. But it is hysterical. I'd never considered during all that that he
It
could
could've
go
just
through
been the
any
nose,
orifice and be
the
fine.
ear, the mouth. Yeah, it
exactly.
doesn't matter. And who knows? Maybe Thanos has more orifices that we don't know about. He is an alien.
What if he's got 4 buttholes? We don't know.
He might not have a butthole.
Could just be nothing down there.
That could be. I mean, that could be true. We don't know these things, but what we
He's
do
just
know,
fucking Ken dolling it up.
yeah, he is. That's why he's so strong. Nothing is wasted. Everything he eats, it just stays.
Yeah, that's why he just grows.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see what kind of nude blob he's packing under those gold armor plating.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, if his chin is anything to reflect, I feel like that's gotta be like, I don't know, kind of what his ball sack is looking like a little. That's what everyone compares it to. But I feel like his butt's pretty normal look. I feel like I don't know, it's humanoid. We all poop. I feel like everyone's pooping. We're all just poop factories at the end of the day.
When it's
which
all,
is a weird
all
thought.
Considered.
A weird thought. However, you not going with Michael Douglas, I don't know if I want to do this, because Scott is such a good character in the movie that, like, it kind of feels wrong to go with anyone but him for the character.
Oh, I am going Michael Douglas.
Oh, that's right. You didn't go with there. Oh, that's why. Okay. If you didn't go with Michael Douglas, I wanted to switch my character from Scott to Hank. Possibly, because he was, I thought he was actually like a really, really cool character on this watch, particularly, like, he's the one slamming that fucking what is that dude's position? Is he SHIELD? Is he like not Stark, not
the other guy,
not Peggy, just the other guy? What? Because
he's SHIELD.
He's not Hydra, so he's okay. Like slamming that dude's head down at the beginning, and then like coming back, and he's like, "Yeah, long time no see. How's yeah, like, oh man, like he was just a badass through and through." And then it's this very weird gray area of stumbling upon something that could change the world, but deciding to hide it away, and everything like that. And it's like, on one hand, it's obviously in the hands of the people who would have gotten it at the time, probably would have gone bad, and the world would not have been a better place for it. But then at the same time, is it seen as selfish, to keep it all for himself and to work on it only for him, and it's him and his wife that have these suits and that can do anything, and they are these soldiers now that are untouchable. They are basically invincible, and so there's that angle to it, which was really cool, and that all comes from the character of Hank. And I thought, like, I just did the most thinking with Hank, with his character, and like on this watch. And I like to think of him as this, kind of starting out as a scientist, but then realizing he's fucking invincible as Ant-Man, so he goes around just doing whatever he wants to do, eventually becomes a soldier, and then he's like, oh wait, what the fuck did I get into? Sort of thing. I don't know. A prequel could be really, really cool.
I want the newly opening X-Men 97 is going to be the first thing under the new official branch of Marvel Animation.
Does that timeline work? Does that timeline work?
97 would be about 10 years after Janet died. So I wasn't really saying that I wanted
10
to
years
pop
after.
up. Okay. Yeah, I wasn't really saying that I wanted to pop up in X-Men 97. I'm hoping that Marvel Animation takes advantage of the medium properly and does stuff like that. Does give us, like, a Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne prequel, Ant-Man and the Wasp doing 70s Ant-Man and the Wasp shit would be super fucking
like
cool.
The Cold War. They like saved the fucking planet. Like that just kind of was like a brushed by, like, because it's more, you're over empowered by like how Hope is reacting to this story. That's kind of what you're more focused on. But like, if that bomb would have hit the United States of America, coming from the from the Soviet Union at the time, or U.S. or whatever.
No, that
USSR,
launches a world war.
yeah, it's like it's over, and that, and I think that's why like it's zero hesitation. It's like, yeah, well, his regulators fucked. We got to stop global destruction. I gotta go. Gotta go subatomic. That's just such a cool thing to say. I don't know. It's just like, yeah, I feel like it's
subatomic.
Like it's this really, really cool blend of science and superpowers, which is just really, really cool. And like, I don't know, I even like when Hank strolls up into, his old building, and the guy's like, ID please, and it's like, I think that'll suffice. It's like, It's kind of cringy. It's whatever. It's cliche, but like, it's like, oh man, no, he's that dude. He's kind of that dude.
And Michael Douglas does a brilliant job of portraying himself as that dude, like that's why it works, because if he wasn't so sure of, like, he does such a great job of being so sure of himself while being so insecure in his home life. Like he knows he's incredibly intelligent. He knows he's got everything else on lock except for his relationship to his daughter. And that's the only time you ever see him nervous. That's the only time like, whenever she's like, I'm telling you, I need to be the one who does this. He's not going to be able to do it. And he goes, no, he's like, that is it. No, like it's and Paul Rudd, like, kind of like, oh, it's really good,
awkward to be in the middle of. Yeah. And man, a lot of times in the MCU, people will say like serious moments are ruined by like a one-liner joke or something like that, and I'm crying my ass off over here, and then Paul Rudd, and interjects, and he's like, "Oh my god, wow, what an amazing moment!" And I just start laughing, but like I wasn't like mad that I had to stop crying. It was like, yeah, I was just crying, and then I was laughing all of it. I'm like, oh, you fuck it. Like I don't know. I thought
the joke is that he's there. You know, like it's not like that works within the context of this scene, and so like it didn't bother me either. But the thought had obviously occurred to me. There are a lot of times where a joke ruins an emotional moment for the sake of just being funny. This is it's just funny that he's here during this moment at all.
Yeah, like I'm crying. I maybe that is why it was funny, is because I'm like, oh shit, he is here. Like he is witnessing this.
Well, I mean, like the tone switch going into that scene is already jarring. Whether it's good or bad, I'm not really sure. It doesn't strike me. It hits Hope with the suddenness that it would hit us, So like. It works. She goes from having a really nice moment with Scott in the car where he finally gets it. He starts showing them, they pick up the penny and spin it for him and stuff. And he's like, yes, like, we've done it. Good job. I think you're ready. And they go inside, and Hank's posted up against the wall. He's like, your mother. And it's just like, that's immediately after. So like,
you're right. Really, he is just like, just hand on the wall, just waiting for them to enter the room, and it's like, all right,
he doesn't even look. He just hears them, and is like,
yeah, it is time to drop this canon event on you, daughter. Yeah. I hope you're ready.
This massive trauma dump for you.
Wow, yeah, that's incredible. You know what? I did actually change my character to Hank.
Good.
And I don't want to draw away from Scott. I do think that as far as the movie's concerned, Scott is definitely the best overall character. Like, it's the whole movie centered around him. It's all about him and his daughter and his motivations and him finding the suit. Everything is completely centered around him. But I don't know. Hank did have the most kind of taking me out and making me just think about random things that like I would like to see. I don't know. Like, I would like to see that. Him and his wife back in the time whenever they're fucking it up and in their prime.
I would love that. There's a lot of stuff, like, it's ironic that a lot of the corny comic booky stuff actually comes from Michael Douglas. It actually comes from Hank Pym. Like so he gets to deliver a lot of the corniest lines and the most comic booky moments in the movie, and they're grounded because Michael Douglas does a great job delivering. Like at the end of the movie, whenever he's having the conversation with Scott, and he's like, "So you did it. You came back from the quantum realm," and he's like, "Yeah, I did." And he's like, "You know what? You did good, son." And Paul Rudd leaves, and I can't remember exactly what he says, but he goes, "Can it be?" or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, could it really be? And it's
Could
like,
it be possible? Is it
yeah,
possible? Or something along, yeah, like, could it be? I think maybe could it be? That might be it.
yeah, like, and
But
that's not a normal thing normal people
like,
say, you know. Um,
yeah, by yourself
could it,
too, in a room,
could it
no
be?
one's around. Could it be?
Like the sense
I've come across something
the
interesting.
he
Yeah,
does
like,
a brilliant job of blending like melodrama and comedy and kind of bringing it to this middle
yeah,
point that's really funny, you know, like it ends up landing in a comedic way, but like it's also believable. It doesn't seem like this is
yeah.
like he's not out of place in this movie, which
Mm,
really like the more I talk about it, the more I'm like I want Michael Douglas to be my performance for sure.
yeah.
But he's
Okay.
reaching a
So he's got a
Harrison Ford point.
tank on his keychain at all times. Bro is
Not just a
strapped to
keychain.
the ultimate
Yeah.
degree. Yeah, this technology would be kind of game
Shit.
changing.
Yeah.
Even if you couldn't shrink yourself, if you could just shrink normal shit, imagine travel. Airplanes, you wouldn't have to pay $50 for an extra suitcase. You can bring your Hank brings his house with him eventually. You could literally build a mansion. You could spend your whole life savings on this one house, but you could bring it anywhere you want. Just, I don't know. Maybe the logistics of that is a little bit troublesome because whenever you make your house big, say you just go to an island and then you put your house down and then make it big, does it just like meddle well with the ground there, or is it gonna like fuck up? You know, I guess there's probably some other stuff that goes on. But Hank's smart; he can figure it out. I bet. But no, I don't know. Very underrated. I'd say that's kind of the thing I'm always taking away from this is like, how do I not think of this movie more? Like it's crazy how good it was, how good everyone performed. That Paul Rudd is like fourth in the movie, and he still did so well. So,
Oh yeah, it's a sorry, my dogs are running around upstairs, so I'm having a tough time focusing on what I'm saying.
No problem.
No, yeah, I'm with you, man, and I didn't really realize it until Quantumania was coming out last year, and I rewatched the Ant-Man movies ahead of that, about a year ago, around this time now, and it was then that I realized I was like, oh, wait a fucking minute, Ant-Man is a special comic book movie, you know, it's very singular, it stands alone, and I think it loses its sauce in the next entries, and
Man, we got Lawrence Fishburne coming in the next one. It's like, man, we got our boy Morpheus up in here, and it's just I don't know. I don't really remember anything of the second one.
we got Ghost.
Yeah, but like as far as the story goes, I'm like, I don't know. I just don't remember much, and like, or remember if it was good, if it's bad, I like nothing. I remember really nothing of that movie. Maybe I just watched it one time and that was it. I think that's probably how it went down. But I've definitely seen this one a couple times, I'd say. This one is... So I have revisited it. This one definitely wasn't a one and done.
No. Like it's a good one, man. It's a solid one, and I'm excited to get to the rating section of it here, and we can really break down how we're feeling about it. But do you think we're there? You think it's time?
I think we are. I think that is all the favorites done.
All right. Then before we get to that, I'm gonna do the plugs here. If you would, head to patreon.com/PennyBloomPod, where you'll find over 50 hours of exclusive content, all sorts of book reviews, comic book reviews, movie reviews, and the like. For $3 a month, you can support the podcast financially, which is huge because it costs me money, and I don't make any off of it unless it's over there. Head to Twitter, follow at PennyBloomPod, follow on TikTok at PennyBloomPodcast, and on Instagram with the same handle. Head to YouTube if you're not watching us. You can watch us now, and that's a lot of fun. I got a little Ant-Man comic book on display. I always have a little book on display for whatever comic book movie we might be discussing, and I like switching it up, like getting the vibes going. You got the nice little Marvel t-shirt on today. I'm digging it. You got a little Ant-Man down there.
Ant-Man
I love
and the
it.
Wasp.
I'm wearing a new jacket, and I got my new glasses on. I'm feeling good. I feel good about what's going on here. Look good, play good, sound good type shit. It's you're just in a better mentality. So I think you'd have a better time watching us with that better mentality. So yeah, again, YouTube, Penny Bloom Podcast. Go ahead, subscribe, like, watch, comment, anything. But yeah, with that, let's get into a rating. All right. So it's the last one for a little bit. Last little rating we're going to do for a while, and the last rating we're going to do ahead of our overhaul of a re-rating. So disregard any thoughts you might have pertaining to a re-rating. We are basing this off of previous ratings, basically. And I imagine, even so, it'll be pretty close. I don't think it's gonna vary too much. How are you feeling enjoyment wise on a scale of 1 to 10?
I mean, it landed high on my list. There's only one MCU movie currently to beat it, and that's Guardians of the Galaxy. And granted, there is a gap between this and Guardians. I don't really put this right below. Like, this isn't just a stepping stone away from Guardians, I don't think. Maybe if who was the director?
Peyton Reed?
Or maybe it was someone else who was not allowed to direct. Yes.
Edgar Wright.
Maybe if this could have been just like the normal movie and like the movie that was originally envisioned, this could have maybe been up there in Guardians territory. But I think with what we got, at least it landed 5 on my my Letterboxd list, and it is only below Guardians, The Dark Knight, and both Spider-Mans, the first ones, both OG or the first Spider-Man movies, and honestly, the gut even took me above Tobey's Spider-Man, which was kind of crazy for me. Kind of a moment where I'm like, hold on a second, a movie in which I barely think about, like, I barely think of this movie at all is about to just kind of, in my gut, told me to
It'll
put it above.
It'll be more valid to reevaluate that weeks down the line when you're like, has Ant-Man stuck with me? Do I think about it more?
That's true.
Yeah. No, but I took it above. Granted, I have the 02 Spider-Man movie at 14 right now, so I've got it a bit lower. But I do have Ant-Man a little differently. 5.
Yeah. Okay.
I do have Ant-Man at 5. It is below Guardians and The Dark Knight, which I have at 1 and 3. The other two are Superman 78 at 2 and X-Men Days of Future Past at 4. I still couldn't put it quite above that. And that's just
wow.
Just a bit more of an I think this is a better movie than Days of Future Past. I do. But there's just a bit. I get a little misty-eyed with this movie. But if you go back to the Days of Future Past episode, you'll hear me confess to just falling apart at the ending. So there's just a bit more getting me there. It does fall directly above. This was more where I had a little hesitation. It was comfortably below the 4 spot for me. But my 6 is Captain America, the First Avenger. And
that's my 6 as well. Wow, would you look at that?
I put it right above. I had to put it right closer to my 6 than it is my 4. I'll say that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's probably true. I do hold the Spider-Man movies just in a different regard. My list is much. I'm much more of a. I don't need the movie to be good. I enjoy worse things a lot easier. Or I can. I don't know. I think nostalgia is a big factor in my list still, and I still have not gotten over that, and I don't think I ever will. But,
no, and it's not something to necessarily get over, I think.
But I do think I am very comfortable in saying that other than Guardians right now, this is just like Winter Soldier is the closest one to this, but this was a surprise for the MCU so far. I did not expect it to be this good. I remember like it being funny and it being different, or like a little bit different than the other ones, but I didn't remember it being this good. And actually, like the story being so interwoven and like having like Hope have an actual line, an arc for her as well, and not just to drive other storylines forward. Hank had his own arc. Everyone had their own arc, and if Darren's maybe wasn't necessarily the one we were hoping for, it would have been cool to maybe see him nicer at the beginning and then slowly go down that path. But I think everything was handled like very, very well. I'm smiling the whole time. I'm crying. Not crying. But
that's what stuck out to me about this viewing for me compared to other movies we have, is that I would just catch myself fucking smiling ear to ear pretty consistently throughout the whole fucking movie, man. Like during the final action sequence, during that final little standoff on the train set, I can't tell you if there's any other fight in the MCU that leaves me going like this.
Yeah,
just leaves me smiling watching the fucking screen, bro. Like the only other one that I can even think of that might get me there or close to it is the swinging scene from No Way Home, because it's just like, wow, look at all these three fucking dudes. That makes me
holy shit. I mean, that's just a whole different moment there.
Cap with Mjolnir, probably there as well. But we're talking giant fucking universe implicating things there.
Yeah, we're talking the moments of the MCU, not just.
We're talking just normal action sequences that that's the culmination of a certain movie. Like, thinking of how Yellow Jacket versus Ant-Man and Ant-Man 1 on the train set is probably my favorite action sequence in the MCU.
It's baller. No, it's baller though. It's I don't know, really creative. It's they have the set right there. It's just a girl's bedroom. So I guess whenever they are small, they have I don't know. I'm assuming they're just using it maybe as like maybe they built a big version of the train set and actually were on it for a little bit. I don't know. I don't know that for sure. But no, I mean it is number 2 in the MCU so far. For the end of Phase 2. So that's pretty strong. To beat Guardians, I mean, that is a whole different task in itself.
I can't. So that automatically makes it not a 10.
Yeah.
And I was comfortably not a 10 either.
I don't think I was there. But the next MCU movie,
probably First Avenger,
Iron Man 3 at a 9.5. Wow, that one. We really loved Iron Man 3 at the time. I don't think it's a 9.5 now. It's still pretty high, but First Avenger 9.25 would be the step below that.
I think again we're looking at a situation where we gave First Avenger a 9.25. So why not throw Iron Man 3 at a 9.5? Because where I'm sitting, it'd be really nice to call this movie a 9.
Yeah, but to put it below, the First Avenger.
Well, don't get me wrong. I'm going. If I was erasing that stuff from my mind,
okay, I got you.
I think it'd be nice to call this movie a 9. Given what we do have, it's got to be a 9.5. If that is what we've given other things, I think it has to be a 9.5.
Okay. Yeah, it's gotta tie Iron Man 3 at least. I think that is the closest comparison. You were talking about it, you were right. Like there's a lot of similarities between this and Iron Man 3, and it is just in Iron Man 3. I think I do find myself like just happy a lot of like it is a lot of things that do just make me smile. It's a lot of small things,
And
it's,
again,
it's not
the
big
uniqueness of the creative choices within those action sequences, the scale of it in this, and then when you're looking at Iron Man 3 and you got him fighting helicopters by throwing pianos at them and doing shit like that, with the creating like ornament bombs and doing a little Christmas movie thing. Like that's the type of shit I want. And I feel like Ant-Man does that. And I don't if I'm being honest, I don't think there's another movie you can honestly compare to Iron Man 3 and Ant-Man after Ant-Man. I don't think a single one of them falls into that category. And, I even hesitate to say it's fine, because I don't think that is fine. All that means is that there's just a levelness from, like, there becomes this.
I'd say the Deadpool movies. Those are the only ones that are just so different.
It's true.
But different movies entirely. I don't know. That it doesn't even really feel like an MCU movie.
Also not
Deadpool.
MCU. Yeah.
Oh. I guess I didn't.
Deadpool 3 will be.
Wait, but the 1 and 2 are not?
No. They were Fox. They were Fox produced by the studio that did the X-Men movies.
My God. I don't know why. Is it just an
Deadpool 3 is the first
Marvel?
time. Yeah. Deadpool 3 is the first time they're bringing in a Foxman franchise.
Okay. Maybe I've known this, but I've never put the two together. I don't know. Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
It's like the same thing as like for Sony, Morbius, Deadpool, same thing for different companies.
I see. Okay. Wow. Then never mind. You're right. As far as the MCU is concerned,
I'm like
Guardians 2, but even then, that's not really what this one's going for.
And the Guardians movies are a different animal entirely when it comes to the uniqueness conversation, because it's interesting because they fit into the universe so neatly, it feels like. I think it's the fact that the universe has become so grand and so universe implicating that dealing with galactic threats makes the Guardians fit that bill a little bit more. This is small. This is really intimate. This is a small conflict that's very personal. And again, reminiscent of more Iron Man, like Iron Man 1, than it is anything else when it comes to the company being taken over by the asshole and like that sort of stuff. Like
small story, but large implication of
what it could have a bigger
impact. World. Yeah, big stakes.
Yes.
Still big stakes, but not an alien threat an alien invasion.
Not an entire planet, which I know is still his dad, which makes it intimate, but it's an entire planet.
Whatever ego is, I don't even. He's kind of more than a planet. He's on other planets too. Like
he's everywhere. He's all over.
Yeah, weird. Guardians. You just get
no. So that's like they are different. They are different in the scope of the MCU. To be sure.
Yeah. Very unique,
I think the sci-fi genre kind of lends it to almost feeling. It feels more familiar, like it just like you are familiar with that type of movie,
very underrated, man. Yeah,
Ant-Man's fucking good, dog.
Yeah, and 9.5, for now, a 9.5. I think will be adjusted a little bit, but not too. Yeah, I think a 9 sounded about right. For adjustment's sake, I think you would be there, or I would be there too. But
for now, we'll go with a 9.5. And for those listening, I know it kind of takes the stakes out of our rating for us to talk about how we're going to adjust it eventually. But I think that you'll be happy to know that we'll be publishing that episode where we go over our re-ratings, and we'll be talking about why we feel the way we do now. And, because, recency bias is a very real thing. And while I like to not partake in it, you just heard that we gave Iron Man 3 a 9.5 out of 10. And I like the movie. I like the movie a lot. I think it's a fun fucking movie. It's a fun movie. It's a super fun movie. And 9.5 out of 10 is like one of my favorite movies ever made, man. Like, no.
Yeah. We go in 0.25 increments, and that's only 2 increments away from a perfect movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know about that. And that's the thing. We are on movie 59 of the project. It feels like a lot. It feels like we've done a shit ton of movies. In order to reach the current movie that is released right now, which would be Aquaman. Is that the most current?
Yeah.
Aquaman. Yes. 111 is Aquaman.
Fuck's sake.
So yeah, we still have not double
50.
to go, but almost.
Fuck me.
Almost.
I thought we were getting there, man. Glad we're taking a pause.
Yeah. Superhero movies were very here and there. And then now we are about to hit the era of you get fucking 8 a year. And here you go. I think is kind of
we've been ramping it up. 2014 was the first year I really noticed that. I was like, oh my God, we are still in 2014.
Okay, yeah, I guess 2015, I guess there's only 3. There's only 3 in 2015. 2014, 4, 5, 6 in 2014. Was that right? 2,
yeah,
3,
a lot.
4, 5. 5 in 2014, sorry. But then 2016 is, it's starting. 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 in 2016. 6 and 27. So I guess maybe 6 is the magic number, it looks like. We're hitting about 6 a year.
I imagine 2018's ramping it up too, because we got Infinity War, Into the Spider-Verse, Aquaman, off the top
7.
of my Panther, Captain Marvel's 19. Yeah.
Yeah, 7 in 2018.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, I think, was 2018. So like it's just a lot of fucking movies, man.
Wow. Yeah. So just we're there. But I guess what are we on now? Critically, we still have to give this a critical rating. I was going to see where this laid out with all the rest of the movies, but we have not given it a critical rating. I would say, what's its closest
Let's go back to Iron Man 3. Yeah. What would we give Iron Man 3?
Comparison would be... Sorry, I was scrolling down to get all those movies in the list. But Iron Man 3, we gave a 7.75, which is also the first Avenger.
I mean, I think it's a little north of that. I think, and again, like, I think this is actually going to fall about where I generally feel real life. 8. I think it's an 8 out of 10. It's a good fucking movie, man.
Days of Future Past. That's the Amazing Spider-Man, First Class as well.
I'd go so far as to say it's better than all of those, but I will keep this at an 8.
I think I do like that. To say it is a little bit above Iron Man 3, a little bit even above the first Avenger, and the first Avenger I think is impressive for it to be above. I really, really would love to have seen this movie in the original vision to see what that could have looked like, because I think that really could have taken this one to the next level. But
I think so too.
But what we got, I mean, it wasn't bad. What we got was not bad. Was very, very awesome. It's number 5.
I think there's a really obvious, like, Peyton Reed directs all 3 of the Ant-Man movies. This one is the one that had Edgar Wright involved.
Yeah. Yep. You had someone else. You lost someone. You lost something.
Lost a tad
that's for sure.
Sauce,
yeah, and so we'll shake it out to an 8.5, which will tie. It will tie X-Men: Days of Future Past and Batman: Mask of Phantasm, which those are in the 9 and 10 slot. So this will be in the 11th slot, but a 3-way tie for that. And then another 3-way tie above that for the spot above it. And then maybe a 2-way tie above that. So our top 10 is, our top 10 is probably about a 20 or 5. So list. So, yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay,
all right, well,
8.5.
I love that. And it's a great way to round out this section of the project. It's a great way to round out February. We've been doing 2 a week ever since we finished Ferrari. Ever since we finished the Michael Mann spotlight at the end of 2023. And we've been blitzing it. This has been our longest stretch of comic book movies and nothing but comic book movies since we started the project. The first set of 20. I think we've done 17 straight. Now, obviously, the first set of 20 was, I believe, 1 a week. So it was 20 weeks. We've done this. So that just gives you a little bit more perspective of how overloaded we might be in comic book movies at the moment. So we've done almost as much in half as much time. So we're feeling it a little bit. you know, y'all don't know comic book movie fatigue like we know comic book movie fatigue. I'm gonna tell you that. But we are gonna take a break. We are gonna take a break, and we're actually gonna take a break from covering movies on Fridays. This is big. Do you know how long it's been since we've not covered a movie on Friday?
Oh man, because that used to be. Was that the 52-year journey? Was that on
The
Fridays?
last Friday of 2021 was the last time we didn't have an episode on a movie on Friday.
Wow.
We've been on it, man. We've been fucking on it, and I'm proud of you for that.
Wow.
But
yeah, you as well. That's incredible. That's incredible. That's
that's
kind
an
of crazy to
achievement.
think about.
It's an achievement.
We
man.
love some movies.
We do
love
a
our
long
movies.
long fucking ride here. But just because that's the case, next week will probably be the first week we don't cover a movie at all since 2021 as well, because we will be doing Thrones, The Bad Batch Season 3, Episodes 1 through 3 next Wednesday, and The Bad Batch Season 3, Episode 4 next Friday. And every Friday thereafter is going to be dedicated to The Bad Batch, starting this, actually started earlier this week. But we are going to start covering it next week so as to align with our schedule a little better. And that's a fun way to dedicate ourselves to something we've always been dedicated to. You know, we're pivoting from the movies on Fridays, which we've been so consistent about, but we've covered The Bad Batch since season 1, episode 1. So we're going to see that through to the end. We're going to cover that weekly. I know I said that we were probably going to be done covering TV, but The Bad Batch is special, so we're going to stick with it. We're going to stick with Star Wars. And that's going to be every Friday. We are fast approaching Dev Patel's Monkey Man. So I'm going to formally announce, as we have not talked about this on the air, I don't think, our first ever actors spotlight. We spent last year doing 6 director spotlights. We did Wes Anderson, Greta Gerwig, Chris Nolan, Marty Scorsese, David Fincher, and Michael Mann. Now we're pivoting to the actor spotlight. Now Dev Patel is directing Monkey Man. However, it is his directorial debut. So we wanted to go ahead and give him a little love. And the way we're going to do that is with a series of movies starring Dev Patel. Now, we've already done a couple Dev Patel movies, and the same logic applies to him as did our directors. If we've already discussed something with him in it, we will not be discussing it again. So we've already done Slumdog Millionaire, and we already did The Wonderful Story of Henry Sugar and Poison. So we've covered a few Dev Patel things. If you've ever listened to those, you know we're big fans. So that's why he's our first ever actor spotlight. So we've got a little list of movies here. We're going to be covering. We're not excluding shitters here. The first movie we're going to be covering is Avatar: The Last Airbender. I think it's just called The Last Airbender, directed by M. Night Shyamalan, starring Dev Patel. We think that with the recent Netflix series, which I might watch so that I can compare it to this.
True.
It looks fucking terrible, though. It also came out earlier this week. I haven't checked it out. We will see.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, we will see. But so we think we can get a little traction with that. It's relevant. It's time. So we're going to cover that. We're going to cover Chappie, Hugh Jackman, him, robot sci-fi flick. We're going to get Lion in there. I've heard great things. We're going to get The Green Knight in there, which I've heard even better things about. And we're going to also get what's the personal history of David Copperfield. So just a big plethora of ranging in vast different levels of quality there for Dev Patel. We want to get the good, the bad, and the ugly, or just maybe mostly good and one ugly. That'd be awesome. Yeah, so that's to come on Wednesdays. So next week, I know I said we're pivoting movies on Fridays. It's just moving to Wednesdays and it'll be 2 weeks away. Like, this week's really the milestone. No movies for the first time in a long time on a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday next week.
Yeah, that's crazy. Crazy. Been that long.
Aha! But wait. Next Monday might not be covering one movie.
But many.
We are covering several movies, as next Monday is our 2023 Penny Bloom Film Awards. So there's a little loophole there. We could point to that. We're going to be giving our top 10 of 2023 a week ahead of the Oscars. We wanted to give everybody, we wanted to give ourselves time to catch up on what we missed, and we wanted to go ahead and really just fucking do this thing, you know? So I'm very excited. We're going to have 10 categories for the Penny Bloom Film Awards, which is super cool. We're going to have best score, best cinematography, best actor, best actress, best supporting actor, best supporting actress. We're also going to have best adapted screenplay, best original screenplay, and best director and best picture. So you can expect a beefy one next Monday. We've got a lot to go over. We're doing Oscar rules, 5 nominations per category, except for best picture, which will have 10. And I'll probably be throwing out who our nominations are on Twitter this weekend ahead of that, just to, you know, make it a little thing. So go ahead and follow at Penny Bloom Pod if you want to catch up with that. But yeah, so big plans here. Dev Patel spotlight coming up, Bad Batch season 3, the last season. I mean, I know we're doing awards next week, but after that we're kicking off season 8 of Thrones. So we're finishing Bad Batch, finishing Thrones. We're entering a new era happening here.
New microphone era, maybe this
new glasses era.
Yeah,
yeah, we got a whole thing going on here on the pod. So, you know, thank you all who might be joining us, and thank you for sticking with us into the future. We're so very happy to have you. And with that, I was Colton Robertson, and I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it is always a pleasure to have you. And remember, peace, love, and bloom. And I didn't steal anything. I'm returning something that I stole.